but thanks for listening. Yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to We Say Things, episode 137, sponsored by our friends at Manscaped, who write the following. Roses are red, violets are blue, don't let a wild pube wreck you. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and our sponsors at Manscaped are here for you with the best tools to get your balls ready for your special occasion. This V-Day, it's time to join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. With our exclusive offer, can you please move your cursor so I can read, Cinderin? It's blocked to manscaped.com/we say things for 20% off and free shipping. As you can see, they stopped shipping me the same product over and over, which was the amazing conditioner and shampoo. But now I have some body spray and some deodorant, some more things to make me smell like not me. So we appreciate the support from Manscaped. Remember,
I haven't got those. How's the deodorant?
Good. It's delicious. I ate it. No, don't eat it. I should.
Oh.
Usually in a promo, you don't want to, suggest toxic materials for people to eat, but they do smell amazing, and we appreciate Manscaped as always for sponsoring us. If you guys need anything for below the waist grooming, I would recommend. Usually, it's not great to have a hairy jungle for your significant other. Unless they're into that thing, I guess, but usually that's not the case. So yeah, go to
shaming here, but
no
that's
shame.
Not a good business proposal for Manscaped.
That's true. Furries, I can imagine, will not be a fan, but other than that, I think it's pretty a generalized thing here. But needless to say, manscaped.com/we say things. That's not manscaped.com with. This is the worst promo I've ever done. Insert the code We Say Things for Manscaped, and you get 20% off free shipping. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Shannon, here's the thing about doing promos like this is you're making it really memorable.
That's true.
It's like when you watch ads on TV and you're like, this is such a fucking bad ad, but everybody remembers it because it's so bad.
That's true. Yeah. I blame you.
Yep. I mean, that's what I do with everything.
Yeah.
So
I blame you. Thank you so much for joining me.
My pro games, my interaction with people in real life. It's like, this guy's so fucking bad, man.
Right.
Everyone remembers. It's like Jack Sparrow, but they have heard about me.
Pirates of the Caribbean is a terrible series. Let's not get into that one, though. But let's get into our amazing patrons. Thank you to the following in the In Bruges tier. Someone needs to explain to Suns fan what confirmation bias is so he doesn't talk about ESP BS. You actually wasted a name for the week on that garbage. You actually think that I believe in ESP? Come on now.
I thought you did.
I mean, can I not have fun with people? Like,
I thought you believed in it, at least, like maybe not in everything, but somewhat.
All right, hold on.
I thought you were being honest.
Let's stop this here for a second.
Okay.
So based on my obviously I'm saying some
weird
stuff.
You went on the internet and lied?
We've known each other a long time. Did you think I was 100% serious about that?
Close to, probably. You sounded really genuine.
Wow.
It was a good bit if it wasn't genuine.
I should get into acting. Also, thank you to purchasing the In Bruges tier in hope you will promote my Steam game, 4Play Chess, available to wishlist now. I have no shame. Oh.
It's good to add that in the name.
Yeah. If you're going to advertise your game, just end with I have no shame and we'll be okay with it. Wishing for a Dwayne The Rock Johnson tiny set so I can be rock hard while warding Fountain. Great. Vovalicious, bring back Ancient's Jungle Necro. My balls are still delicious. Thank you, Manscaped, from me and my wife. Roundy 3. My name is not William. It's Billy Ray Valentine, Mr. Duke. I don't understand that reference. Games for Falling Asleep thinks Dota could have millions of players if it were properly marketed. Disco Farm D, Vincent Darksea, Hakuna Matata, Commander Donut, Chakar, still an asshole. Mumbai Munich, the Megapope. And sorry I made you look up churches. It was a Sydney thing with ScoMo, TI in New Zealand. Now you have to
look up ScoMo.
Yeah, it's just a never-ending loop. Go ahead.
It keeps going. Zan Xavier, Nate Thicko01 Hamscroats, Bacon, Shark TM, Freshly Seasoned Goat Balls, Dop, nothing to see here, _man. I turned 30 today. This is exactly today. So it's only fair I spent 30 on my favorite podcast. What a guy. Happy birthday. Ben Broomhead lives in Australia, so a TI in New Zealand would be extremely poggers champions. Let's make it happen. Pitch Black, Wooden Aftertaste, Dun Talk, Anonymous, and our fact guy, Peter. The only food that doesn't spoil is honey. Niebling.
Is that
I
true?
kind of refuse to believe that's true.
That's an interesting one. I like
I
that
guess
one.
it depends what you define as food.
Does salt go bad?
I could just eat sugar.
I mean, honey
Pretty sure
has a
that
lot
doesn't-
of sugar in it.
Or salt.
Natural.
But I guess you wouldn't count those as foods, right? They're like spice and
Yeah, but
whatever you want to
is
call
honey?
sugar.
You
Honey
can't-
is definitely a food.
You don't
right?
really eat honey by itself, though. What constitutes what makes a food technically?
Yeah, that's a good
Can you eat it? Do you have to eat it by itself? I don't know. That's a good one. You got us talking. Thank you. All right. So with that,
That's something we don't do enough.
that's true. Let's start off with. There's not that much Dota today, but I do want to
So
say
let's talk about honey.
we could.
I'll
Next
look
week.
up some random facts about honey.
Thank you. Well, I just do the rest of the podcast solo. No big deal. Next week we will be doing
cool facts about honey. Honey is 80% sugars and 20% water. All right. I mean, that's the end of it then. It's not a food. It's 20% water. He lied. All right. I'll not read the other facts now. It's all bogus.
Okay, you done?
Yeah.
You happy with yourself?
I'm feeling pretty good.
I'm feeling better because I'm using Manscaped deodorant. All right.
Eat my honey.
Next week, we will be doing the DPC finals predictions. I figured we'd make it as close to possible. I think it's like a literal day before they begin. So we'll make sure to do that. We'll definitely do a lot of research. I know that many people are anticipating this because we somehow have been so horribly incorrect in the past that you can almost predict who will win just by going with the opposite of what we choose. So definitely looking forward to that.
I think bookmakers around the world are watching our podcast and then
If that's true, please sponsor. You have a lot of money that we would like to use on things like honey. All right.
and deodorants.
And I could use more deodorant. Don't get me wrong. Roster updates for this last week. Alliance has made some changes. They have released Lelis and Supreme. I mean, not a big surprise that Alliance has made changes. A little bit surprised that Lelis didn't work out for them, though, because I thought he was extremely good in NA. I know the NA jokes will come. He ends up tweeting after the fact, quote unquote, kicked, relieved to be off the team in a way, excited about future endeavors, expect a lot more streaming. So didn't sound like it was a great environment just based on that alone. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I'm just reading his tweet, and then afterwards he writes it. I'm assuming that's in Spanish or Brazilian Portuguese. Maybe it's Brazilian Portuguese. And the translation he uses for kicked is kickadinho, which sounds like a professional football player.
Is that your analysis?
Pretty much. No, so
What a useless comment. What am I supposed to say to that? Oh, you're right. You know I don't watch soccer.
no,
And there's
you know
definitely no
Ronaldinho
NFL
by
player.
name, right?
Huh?
You know Ronaldinho by name. Have you never heard that name before?
Ronaldinho, what?
Ronaldinho.
No.
Okay. This is basically the equivalent to when I don't know world's best basketball players ever. So now we're even.
That's fine. Wait, I thought, what's the other guy's name? Name the best soccer players currently, the most famous ones, not the best.
Currently, I think the most famous currently is probably Messi.
Okay, I've heard of him. There's another guy though. Ronaldo, chat. Those are the two.
Ronaldo is not big anymore.
And then
but he
Beckham
was.
from years ago. Those are the three names.
That's many years ago.
Those are the literal three names that I know from soccer. Okay,
Beckham
continue.
was also a singer in Spice Girls.
That's not true. He married one instead.
Yeah, she's Beckham.
Miss Okay, sure. Technically correct again.
Gosh, Shannon, come on, dude. Wake up. You've got a lot of hours left of your day today.
Yeah.
I thought I was the one who just got out of bed. Yeah, so about Alliance, Yeah, I'm surprised too. I wonder what, like, it can always look weird from the outside when you don't know the inner workings of the team. Maybe Lellis is still, a world-class player, but the conditions and the way that team worked just didn't suit him very well. Like, maybe conflict in how the teammates view the game, and then you end up playing one style, and if that's a style that he doesn't agree with, he will look worse in the game than he is. If he's genuinely not, like feeling himself in the team with his teammates or whatever. The fact that he says he's relieved to be off the team in a way kind of says that to me, that he wasn't really feeling at home there.
Yep.
But I don't think it's because it's an international team. I think he would still want to play in an international team. He looked good in, what was the NA team he played in the last? Quincy, right?
Correct.
That wasn't an SA team. So, yeah, I don't think it was like any, it's definitely not a language barrier. Lelis' English is very good. So, yeah.
Yep. So that's surprising because I know Alliance, they take that stuff like in terms of chemistry very seriously, but roster has not worked out. That's for sure. And then past that, T1, to my knowledge, this is just rumored, but it's
It's
heavily
still a rumor.
rumored that 23 Savage will be kicked from T1 and be replaced by Ana. That is kind of out of nowhere. 23
Yep.
Savage is a beast, so this has to be theoretically, again, just completely off the cuff. I would assume it has to be with personality and just not a chemistry
synergy.
fit.
Yeah.
Because I mean, from just a playing standpoint, they do have chemistry. They showed that last year. And then Anna has, I know he's been trying to join teams for a little bit now. I'm not sure how much he's been playing, but I've heard he's playing a mean Medusa these days. But, what do you think about that potential change for T1?
I don't know, maybe Anna was like, I'm not finding a team. Yo, T1, I'll pay you $1 million to sign me.
That sounds
It's
reasonable.
chump change for the guy. If he didn't gamble it all away.
Wow, you are really something today.
What?
Still looking for that gambling sponsorship. That's deep in your brain.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of with you. I feel like they look good with 23 Savage, so this might be like some newer development, if there is anything. It could also just, like, some people are saying Cuckoo is memeing because he's a big troll sometimes on social media. And maybe he just jumped on it because the rumors were there and now he's just making fun of it. But there's also a big chance that it is true. And if that's the case, I genuinely don't know whether I think this will make the team better or worse. Like, Ana is a question mark for me. It's very clear that the people that have been checking his pro tracker, he plays a shitload of games right now. He played 100 pubs in the last 8 days, which equates to 12 and a half games a day, which is a lot, even for pro players. That is a lot of games. So he's definitely trying to get in shape and he's motivated. But his last stint with OG was not exactly successful, and I think he looked the weakest in the team during that phase compared to the previous 2 TI wins. So we'll see if he gets back to former glory.
Am I
But it's tough.
remembering this wrong? I thought he retired after the second TI as well as the first.
Yeah. So he took a break after the first TI, came back for the second, won again,
Then
took a break, came back again.
Did he come back
with
again?
OG?
I don't even remember
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Came back a third time, but they didn't do well at all, and then he quit,
Okay.
supposedly.
Yeah,
But now he's back
retiring.
again.
They should come up with a different name for retire in esports because it's really not a thing. You always, I mean, look at Jerax, for God's sake. The only person that, off the top of my head, the 2 people that have retired are Zhao 8 and Fear. Like, legit, just like Fear. They're both doing coaching, I guess, but they're not playing. So, all right. And then last thing is kind of shocking more than anything. Soxa tweeted out recently looking for team for the second season of DPC and further on, and he's open to playing other regions as well. I don't understand how a team hasn't picked him up. If I
Might
was
have wanted a break.
That's possible. Now, if that's a thing though, like, you don't usually tweet this out unless you have nothing going on with like your internal communications trying to find a team. Like, normally you'll have some ear to the ground because he has a lot of connections, as do all pro players that have had some success. So the fact that he's tweeting it publicly means that he has 0 prospects, which fucking mind. If I was starting a team from scratch, and I know I'm biased, position 4, this guy would be like 1, 2, or 3 choice. for the position for out of everybody in the entire world. No excuse for this guy not being on a team other than if it was his own choice, I guess. It's unbelievable.
He's class. He's definitely class.
And
And
it's
OG's result at TI does not. Like, that's the thing about players, though, is that sometimes they have insane recency bias, and they might, you know, be like, oh, well, OG didn't do so well at TI, Saxo was the new piece, blah, blah, blah. But, like, that wasn't really his fault. It wasn't, like, anyone individually's fault. They knew how to play the game, but they weren't, it just didn't click that event. I don't think that was... You could pin anything on the quote-unquote new guy for that.
Yeah, and it's not... When I rate his overall... I don't know if skill is the right word. I mean, it's not just skill. Like, just him being a teammate, he is the easiest person to just plug into your lineup. Zero drama.
And
what?
I was just going to say, and when you go out, he will never get lost.
He's very tall.
He is so tall.
That's true. But he's a gentle giant, as they say. We'll see what happens with him, but I'm very surprised that both Weehaw, at first I was confused, but obviously after last week we discussed that he didn't feel comfortable with betting sponsors, so that basically means he's retiring from Dota. That's just, you could go to another game, I guess. I don't know. He's been playing.
Play for a Div 2 team, unsponsored.
That's true. Quincy Crew.
But that's probably where there's the most betting, so who knows?
NA doesn't have any sponsors for some of these teams as well, right?
True.
And
he can go back to NA.
He's played in NA before, so yeah. Okay.
Shannon, before you move on, this is the second time I click on this tweet from Saxa. And both times, sometimes when you click a tweet, Twitter will suggest you more tweets.
Yes.
All right. It suggested me the same tweet twice. I want your take on it. This is a tweet from Patricia Anna. Not Anna. If you play ranked Dota, you're either depressed or in denial. What do you think about that statement? Pretty popular tweet.
In denial about what?
Hey, don't make me elaborate. That was the tweet. I'm asking your opinion.
It's not too far from the truth. I was actually saying this earlier on stream that I believe very strongly that as long as I live, I will never play another game of ranked. Legitimately.
You're gonna say, as long as I lived, I will be depressed.
It is connected though.
That'll be a very bleak.
I have been happier when I don't play ranked Dota. It's more fun to play. I haven't played regular Dota in quite a while because the patch, but regardless, I was having fun. But yeah, ranked is miserable. I don't disagree with that at all. What do you think?
I don't know.
Speak to you.
I just thought it was a funny tweet.
Oh, thanks, Cinder.
But I will definitely say that my ranked experience in the last few months is probably the worst I have ever had in Dota. So, like, that tweet kind of resonates with me with how poor the game quality is and how much griefing there is. And I think, at least in the higher brackets of Dota, there's seemingly almost no punishment for behaving like a fucking donkey. Like,
wow,
you can get away with almost any shit. It feels like reports don't matter very much.
Well,
considering how garbage the average person treats each other and what shit they spew and how much they game ruin, you would imagine that either the majority of the player pool just is like that, or, because there's no punishment, it's a self-reinforcing system where people just become assholes, basically.
Yeah, we've breeded quite a bit of that
in their games.
What's
and it's tricky because something that ended up happening at some point, if you remember, pro players got kind of this ban immunity almost, or low priority immunity, because people would watch streams and be like, haha, and then, just report Sing Sing because he was Sing Sing, and that was funny when he got low priority on stream. And at that point, Valve stepped in and gave certain players immunity because they were just getting report stacked for literally no reason. And I think that has transferred to all pro player accounts. And I'm assuming also their alternate accounts, perhaps. So that means that they can just abuse that. But it's also tricky because a lot of the pro player smurfs, people don't know are pro player smurfs or don't know who they are exactly. But I don't think that's the whole story. I think there's a lot of other players that are not pros that are just behaving like assholes and game ruining and just being a really negative influence on the experience that aren't getting punished. I don't know if this transfers all the way down. Like, I've seen some players say that this patch is amazing and it's the best experience they've ever had playing Dota and playing ranked. I just really don't agree with that from my perspective, but
Confirmation
it's
bias,
interesting if
Cinderin.
it's so different.
Mm.
It's got to be. I have confirmation bias from the last 3 months.
Yep,
compared to
you're
the
just
last 10
unhappy
years,
in real
I guess.
life, and it's extending to your Dota.
I mean, who knows? Like, maybe it's great, and I'm just getting old and sad and grumpy. That's probably what it is.
I was gonna make a joke here, but I looked up the answer to what I was gonna say, and now it's just gonna be just general Niebling type trivia, because you called the player base donkeys. So I was going to look up what a group of donkeys is called, right? Because there's always a different name for every animal.
Oh, do you want me? Is it obscure or can I guess it?
I would say it's obscure. The word itself is another word, like a normal word you would use, perhaps. But I would never have guessed what it is. So do you want me to just tell you?
Yeah.
A group of donkeys is called a drove.
Word was group.
That would have been even funny. I should have just faked it and said
drove.
group.
A drove of donkeys. What is a drove even?
And that's
Passive
what it is.
drive. Thanks, Google.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It obviously is another word. So.
Oh, it is not a noun apart from that. Oh, yeah. It is. A herd or flock of animals being driven in a body. A large number of people or things doing or undergoing the same thing. That makes sense. It's kind of like donkeys.
Yep. All right. Anyway, past our trivia of donkeys, let's move on to the next topic, which is the most watched MOBAs, Cinderin. I'm actually going to put this graphic on the screen. Oh, make sure it doesn't cover up our beautiful sponsors at Manscaped. So this was released recently, as we can see on the screen now. So the most watched esports games of 2021, League of Legends had 664 million. CSGO, number 2, 410 million. Mobile Legends, third place at 387 million. Dota 2 is fourth at 347 million. And PUBG Mobile at 216. Does this surprise you at all?
I didn't know how big Mobile Legends was, so that's kind of surprising. But it's also interesting to see 2 out of the 5 games being mobile games, right? I don't feel like that was the image a few years ago. So, and mobile games have been on the rise and are very big, but it seems like they're tapping more into the esports side than they have in the past. We know there's a huge player base, but is this...
So I think
this is literally all games, right?
Yeah, I misspoke saying MOBAs. My bad. It's the most watched esports games. Period.
Right.
And what that means by esports, I don't know. Like, are you saying Fortnite is actually not on this list?
I would imagine.
Like, Minecraft is not really a competitive game, but it gets a lot more viewers than any other game, I would think. Right?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if there is an esports scene in Minecraft. I might just be ignorant, but.
I mean, there's an esports scene for Excel, so I would think that there is one for Minecraft. Maybe it's tiny.
Microsoft Excel?
Yes.
Microsoft, if you want to sponsor the podcast, you hit me up.
Yeah. Hey, I installed Windows 11 and I gave it an okay review, so please. So, yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'd never even heard of Mobile Legends before this. But I will say that it's not surprising that Dota... I mean, we didn't have a lot of tournaments last year, right? So that's why we're probably lower than we would normally be. I would expect us to be second or third, basically flip-flopping with CSGO. But I think CSGO had more events in general last year. Like if you add a major on top of what happened last year for Dota, which CSGO had at least one, maybe, did they only have one major? I'm trying to remember now. Either way, we would have overtaken them.
1 or 2.
But really, the story is about these mobile games, right? That's 2 out of the 5 are mobile games. One is a MOBA, and one is fucking PUBG, which I did know was quite large. But it's PUBG Mobile is more popular in general, not just for esports viewership, but it's more popular than the PC or any other variation of PUBG. It's an FPS game on your phone. How is that a thing, man? I thought controllers were bad enough for FPS. Now we've just gone to phones. That's crazy.
I feel like this also says quite a lot about SEA's like power in this, right? Because
True.
like, but to my knowledge, mobile gaming is the biggest in China and Southeast Asia compared to
And
Western
India.
countries.
It's
And
huge in India as well.
right, and I think part of it is because it's cheaper to play and everybody will have a phone compared to a high-end rig.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's like cultural differences as well that draw people to the mobile games in addition to that, but the fact that that region alone can push these games so high. I say alone, it's obviously not only those guys playing the game, but compared to at least my understanding of the Americas and Western Europe, etc., SEA pushes these numbers really, really high. And they obviously push Dota a lot as well, if you think about it. Like, the viewership for many of the tournaments, there's a lot of Dota players in the Philippines and Malaysia, etc. So that region holds a lot of viewership power for sure. And it makes me wonder when you look at League of Legends' numbers, how impressive they are. Because I don't know how SEA centric that game is comparatively to the other games, right? So it might mean League's like grip on esports in the West is even more dominant than you would think, and same with CSGO, right?
Yeah.
Because if you like, let's look at it from this perspective, right? Let's say we just look at this from an NA/Western Europe perspective and just narrow it down to that, or Americas and Western Europe. I don't even know if Dota would be in the top 5. You know what I mean?
It wouldn't
Because I
be.
think CSGO and League of Legends are the really big Western games, and then Dota obviously has it. I guess Russia helps us a lot, but you wouldn't count that in Western Europe. So
Right. If you just do NA, like Valorant would probably beat Dota like by 5 times, I would imagine.
yeah, probably.
Yeah,
So
it's all about demographics.
it's really interesting. It would actually be cool to see like a breakdown of this top 5 with where do the viewers come from. That would be a really interesting stat.
Yeah, true. Okay, so that is that. Let's move on to the SAP segment. We are partnered, as always, by SAP, who are an enterprise software company that's bringing their expertise via analytics and esports. And between the questions that me and Cinder have been asking each other for 15 weeks now, this will be week number 16. I have gotten 1 correct out of 15, sorry. Cinder has 0. So we're hoping that
Shannon,
that continues here.
do you remember that episode where we were laughing that if we had random selection among both of us, we would have like 1% of getting as bad results as we got?
Yes.
Now I have that on my own.
That's right.
That's where we're at. I think it's 1.3% or something that I would get 15 wrong in a row.
Man, you
with
are
random selection.
You're really good at this, huh?
I'm looking for the 16th,
No,
man.
I'm looking for some credit here because maybe it's me coming up with really good questions.
It's gotta be.
Speaking of which, let me do my question. So last week I asked, in this patch, which Ags has been the most purchased? And the answer was what? Do you remember?
Give me the options, then I'll remember.
Puck, Void Spirit, Invoker, Gyro.
It was Invoker.
Correct. See, that's the test question.
Yes, I got one right.
That's getting you ready for the real question, which is the same, except it's a shard. In this patch, which shard has been purchased the most times? Your choices, Cinderin. Are you ready?
Yes.
Pangolier, not to be confused from the other Pangolier that's in the anime. Snapfire, Luna. Wait. Grimstroke.
Is this percentage based or total amount?
No, this is This is purely the amount of shards purchased. Period in this patch.
What did you say?
So Pangolier,
Pango, Luna, Grim, or
Snapfire, Luna, Grimstroke.
Luna. Final answer.
Luna. Okay, let's go in order here. The lowest amount out of that list was Luna at 1,150. That was literally as wrong as you could be. So just humor me here. What would you choose next, Cinderin? Pango was the second lowest at 1,646. So you have the top 2, which are Snapfire, Grimstroke. Can you get this one correct?
I mean, this is in ticketed games, right?
Yes. Snapfire, Grimstroke. This is the literal number 1 and 2.
My last first pick would then be Snapfire. So it's probably Grim, but I'll say Snap.
Snapfire is second at 1,730, which means Grimstroke, your final answer, is the correct one.
I go with Grimstroke.
1,916 purchases, the number one shard
just
purchase.
Because that hero gets through the draft more. I mean, Luna's shard is very popular. Like every time Luna gets played, it gets bought. Grimstrokes doesn't get bought every time.
No offense, Cinder. You really suck ass at this.
Gets picked more.
You are really.
Hey, you've got 1 right out of 15. Okay, you're not very good.
That's
either.
Something. Okay.
But now you can double your score. You can improve by 100%, whereas I can improve by infinity% if I get right.
That's not how it works. But go ahead.
Which of these heroes is not in the top 3 banned heroes of 7.07 plus? So that is from about 2017.
So
not top 3 banned.
Top 3 most banned. Okay.
Yes. Is it A, Puck, B, Io, C, Batrider, or D, Timbersaw?
Okay. I feel like Io is a bait. Meaning, I think Io is probably the correct answer here. I think
that was quick.
Well, I haven't given a final answer yet. I'm going to say Timber Timber and Bat 100% are on that list. You know what? Yeah. I'm going to say Io is the correct answer, Cinderin.
You are correct.
Yes!
All right. Now,
are you baiting me? Am I actually correct?
It's correct.
Yes.
Bonus question. What number do you think Io is at if it's not in top 3?
I'm going to say 7.
It's 10th. I couldn't believe it when I looked at this list.
I knew it was a bait.
I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
God, I'm good.
10th. I just double checked.
I average 1 per every 8 episodes correct, which is how long these partnerships are.
See, this is probably why I would have probably been wrong on this one as well. So I guess I'm just even going to be wrong on my own questions.
No surprise there. Yeah.
But yeah, I was really surprised because 707 plus Puck or like Io to me has just struck me as like, you know, basically for the most part non-stop popular pro Dota hero, right?
Mm.
I feel like Timber has had phases that he wasn't popular in, and like there's been patches for Puck, there's been patches for Bat, but Timber and Bat are still top 2 despite that. So
great to hear, Cinder. Thank you so much. All I hear is that I'm winning big time now. Big time.
Yeah. I mean, what can I say?
Nothing.
I'm playing Hearts and I won.
Sure. All right. So the community question from last week was, guess the highest CS per minute within a single match of all ticketed games since May of 2012, which we've already told you was done by Jackie, a.k.a. Jack Boys from Motivate Trust Gaming. Cinderin chose 16. I chose 15.64. The correct answer was 22.20, which happened 8 months ago, apparently. And
it was against the Brood.
Shout out. Yeah, it was a Wraith King against Brood. Shout out to John Turbos, who posted his answer as being 23.322. He was actually the closest. So good job, buddy.
So the memer guy was right.
The memer guy was correct.
Dude.
Well done.
God. Maybe we should have thought about that. The fact that there could be a Brood game. I did not consider that. That's fucking crazy.
It's quite a bit.
Imagine a look at the post-game scoreboard. 1,400 CS in an hour.
Pretty crazy.
Christ.
So
no wonder he won. Did he win?
Did he win? Let me see.
Okay. Yes, he did win.
Good job. That would have been real bad if he lost. So this is the final segment of the SAP partnership thus far. This was what was originally planned. We had 8 episodes, small break, and then 8 episodes. So that has now come to an end. So I'm going to read a few words from SAP. They say, thanks for the activity in the comments. Amazing questions and answers were given. Even after the first few segments, we felt the community understood very well and fast implicitly which stats and insights can be asked for. We would be curious, other than Cinderin, of course, who's terrible at this. That's my own words, not theirs. We would be curious with what kind of question the community could come up with now. So if you type in hashtag SAP Esports in the comments with whatever additional questions you guys want, if there's enough good ones, then perhaps they will continue partnering with us and we with them, because it is, a two-way street, as it were. So if there's still a lot of questions that they can go to, then they say they may come back in the future to answer them. So basically, the partnership continues if you guys don't fuck it up. All right. So post some good questions in the chat. We appreciate it. And we appreciate SAP as always. So yeah, thank you. It was actually, I have never had a better, no offense to Manscaped, because they're awesome too, but never had a better partnership in terms of like a sponsorship within a show of any kind that I've had, because
This was a lot of fun.
yeah, the
It's fun being
community,
wrong all the
yeah, the
time.
community seemed to like it a lot, especially in that period, which was already planned to not have it. And Cinder and sucking complete ass at something makes this just S tier. So
That's a
thank you.
good point. I'm good at everything else.
Damn, I actually just complimented you by accident, didn't I?
Yeah, that's what you do.
All right, whatevs. All right, next topic is CSGO. There's a major announced in May in Belgium by PGL. So while we are doing online, I can't help it. While we're doing online regional tournaments, there's going to be majors for Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And the Epicenter GM tweeted the dates for the CSGO major are May 9th to 22nd. And the Dota 2 major, who we still don't know who's going to do that, May 11th to 21st. So in other words, they coincide together. I can't remember the last time this happened. I'm sure it has, though, right? I can't remember.
This is obviously just a rumor because it's just one tweet by Marcello, but he is, I don't know if he is anymore, but he definitely was one of the people working for Epicenter. Back when we had the amazing Epicenter event in Moscow, which was super cool. He was there. So I don't know what his motivation is for just throwing these dates out there, if it's, to inform or if it's to make fun of the fact that they're totally stacked and both are Valve flagship titles. I don't know if this, hear me out here. I don't know if it's a really bad thing that they run at the same time, because I know there's like cross viewership between the two games, so people might watch both. But if they run at the same times of the day as well, people might have to pick, right? So I don't know if that's a net positive or a net negative overall. Some of the things that people complain about is if two games in the same genre run at the exact same time. Like, let's say Valorant and CSGO run a game or run tournaments on top of each other. That's,
I mean,
I
I feel
Does
like
that make sense? Is this bad? I don't know. Maybe it is.
I mean, it's definitely not good. Worst or best case, it's neutral, right? It's definitely not good. In what way is this a positive?
Okay, so there's a lot of people that specifically watch Twitch when there's tournaments on. Like, I can say from my own perspective, right? A lot of the time that I end up watching CSGO is because I'm watching something on Twitch and I discover that there's a CSGO tournament running. But maybe I'm in a clear minority there. But I'm just on Twitch and then I'm like, oh, there's a CSGO Major channel that I follow that has games I wasn't aware that they were playing right now. So then I go watch that. If there's a Dota 2 Major on, there'll be a shitload of Dota viewers that are watching Dota, and then they'll realize, oh, there's also CSGO Major, I'll watch that too. You know what I mean? So then they discover it because they're watching anyway.
You're right that it's
my
not...
My gut still says that it's probably a net loss, because there's a lot of people that want to watch both and can't, rather than the people that discover that the other one's going on and will watch it a bit.
Yeah, there's no way to really know how bad it is, but like I said, it's definitely not good. Maybe it's not that big of a deal, and it's like a neutral type of thing, but it's probably in the negative, like you said, but how bad it is, I'm not sure. But it's just...
And the biggest question, did Valve know themselves until this tweet came out?
I mean, what do you think the answer to that question is?
I don't fucking know.
So is this a leak, by the way, of dates?
I suppose. I mean, yeah. I guess it's a leak if it eventually gets confirmed, right?
So the
CSGO is confirmed, correct? That one is officially posted.
Right.
Yeah. So the CSGO one location and dates are confirmed. That's 9 to 22nd. In Belgium. When's the last time there was a big esports event in Belgium?
That's true. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I can't remember there ever being one in Belgium. So that's pretty huge.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to Belgium. Have you been to Belgium?
I have not. Anytime I hear Belgium, wait, where's in Bruges? Where's
In
Bruges?
Belgium.
It is in Belgium. Yeah, that's what I
I
thought.
think so.
So
Yeah.
that's got to be on both our bucket lists to go to Bruges together at some point. I can't say
Go to the
Bruges.
CSGO Major and go to Bruges.
I can't say Bruges without saying in Bruges. Like I have to cut out the in. It's weird, actually. Anyway,
I have to go to in Bruges.
I have to go to in Bruges. Like that's literally what I'm thinking. But yeah, we got to do that at some point. Bucket list, Cinderin. All right, moving on. Next thing is Halo is coming out with a TV series on March 24th on Paramount Plus, which I forgot existed until recently, until this trailer, in fact. Did you watch the trailer?
Nope.
Thank you for being prepared for this podcast. So I did watch the Halo trailer, and it looked okay. I'm not a big Halo guy. I mean, anything that's video game related, I will give a shot no matter what. I'm afraid, and I know a lot of people will disagree with this take, and that's fine. Everybody has their own opinions. I'm afraid that it looked a tad like The Mandalorian, meaning Disney Plus, everything they do is made for children, and I just can't take a show seriously when it's dumbed down that much. No offense to any children listening. But I'm hoping, I haven't looked at whether it's PG-13, because I think everything on Disney Plus is like PG, but it looked kind of like a Disney Plus thing, which doesn't bode well for it, but it was just a trailer. So,
right.
No idea.
I just skimmed through it. It looked all right. It didn't stand out to me. If I were to watch Halo content, I would go back and watch RB and the Chief, because there is no way this show will be better than RB and the Chief.
I don't know what RB and the Chief is.
It's I'm sure there will be some people that remember this. It's a show that Machinima made on YouTube.
I thought it was Red versus Blue.
And it was really fucking funny.
Red versus Blue.
That might be another one.
What did you call yours? Arby's?
RB and the Chief. So one is the Arbiter and the other one is Master Chief, and the show is called RB and the Chief.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was hilarious at the time. Like, maybe if I go back and rewatch it now, it's not as funny because now I'm old, sad, and grumpy. But
yeah,
at the time when I was having fun, it was fun.
Okay, well that's that news, and this actually segues perfectly into Sony acquires Bungie, who originally made Halo, but obviously Microsoft owns that IP now. Sony has acquired Bungie for $3.6 billion. So I'm going to sound like a huge idiot here, which is nothing new.
Mm-hmm.
The big game is Destiny. Is Destiny really worth $3.6 billion? I am flabbergasted.
What else do they get?
I don't know. That's the big one, is Destiny 2. I knew that it was kind of popular. I mean, how much would Fortnite go for? I mean, 3.6 billion. I know, but 3.6 billion is a lot for a game that I didn't think was that popular. But apparently, I'm wrong.
Perspective with what Blizzard sold for, right? This is a factor of like 17 lower. Blizzard was like 60 billion, right?
Okay.
So if you compare those IPs, would you say a factor of 17 between this and Blizzard's IPs makes sense, or would you still say that's high? Destiny versus StarCraft, Warcraft, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Omega LoL, etc. You and I really love Dota and Overwatch, don't we?
Yeah, fuck them. Who cares? Who gives this shit? Never gonna play their games anyway.
Was it 70 billion for Blizzard? Was it?
I mean, that is a good point. It seems unusually high for basically one game. How much do you think Dota would be worth to buy? By comparison.
That's a good question.
Like, do you think Riot would be worth more than Blizzard, even with all the IP that they've had and all the nostalgia built in?
I would think so. Probably by now. League would be insanely valuable at this point.
Anyway, whether this makes sense or not isn't for me to. I mean, I don't know what this changes at all, but the fact that Sony is acquiring Bungie means that both. I mean, a lot of companies are being acquired in the gaming industry soon. I don't know if this is good or bad. A lot of
Right.
consolidation, I guess, is the best word to use, and it's going to create like a. It's not. It's like an What is it called? Oligopoly, something like that, where there's like a
Yeah,
few
that's something at
enormous.
least.
Let's just pretend that's correct. A few of these enormous companies that just own everything, right?
Yeah.
So
Which
does this worry you?
tends to not be good.
Yeah, I mean that's
Um,
true.
I'm not sure how worried I would be because there's still a lot of smaller independent studios. But the question is, over time, if every good studio that makes a good game just gets bought, then because the bigger studios aren't coming up with or releasing creative, interesting gameplay experiences, so they just buy them instead when they see them. Um, I think we talked about this last episode. If you narrow it down with like foods, there's also a few food conglomerates that just own a shitload of what you eat and drink during the day, and you just don't know about it.
Yeah.
Um, unless you read the fine print. Is it bad for games? I think the worst case scenario, if you want to look at it from a negative perspective, is that it stifles creativity in the long run, right? That these big companies buying them up and enforcing some sort of different regulations that the people working in the company get creatively shut down by is the worst case scenario, right? Or that prices go up by a lot because there's so few companies that they can just raise the prices by a lot and you don't have an alternative.
Right.
Guess those are the two worst outcomes. And then you ask yourself, how can video games get more expensive? That's a good question. They're already 60 euros now for a AAA title, if you're lucky.
Or
But I'm sure they
free
can.
to play, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Other than Dota, the true free to play game. You can purchase it now for $0 at Dota2.com. Thank you. Sponsored by Valve.
Interesting thought experiment here. If you were to guess, I don't have the data on this. I'm just curious what you think. If you were to guess, how much money do you think the average Dota player has spent on the game, including literally everyone, also those who played the game for 1 hour? How much money?
$2.
$2 is your guess.
Keep
The
in
average
mind,
Dota player.
how many people joined or downloaded Dota just to play auto chess. Literally 10 million people. Right?
Okay.
This
would drag down the average by a lot if you're
the
correct.
number
That
is
literally 10 million people only played auto chess.
The number is out of my ass, but that's
Yeah.
still a lot of money, right? I guess that can't be true though, because if they're making so much on the battle pass, yeah, I guess that's not even possible to be true.
There are a lot of people that have spent a lot of money on
That's
this game.
true.
And
Yeah,
if you and I go and check our spendings, I don't remember how you do it, but on Steam you can check how much money you've spent on a game.
Yeah, it's
for
Phil.
me, it is way beyond.
All right,
any
I'm
other
gonna
game as
change
well.
it to be $100 then.
$100 average player spend in
I
Dota.
have no idea.
No, but it's just an interesting thought experiment, right? Because you're going with the business model of free to play, right?
Yeah.
And I would be really curious to know how well that pays compared to a set price.
Well, if I'm sure League. Okay, let's put it this: if League, let's say they pushed everything down, everything got condensed in their revenue, their player base, everything to match Dota, they would make like probably 5 to 6 to 10 times more than Dota. I'm pretty sure about that. Would not be surprised. They milk the shit out of that game. But yeah, we're just guessing as always. But
Well, it does run a big company.
That's true. All right. And last thing on the list before we get to the mailbag, Wordle. The game that everybody loves, or you hate to see it on Twitter, you curmudgeons out there, has been purchased by the New York Times for low. Wait, what was it? What did they actually call it? Low 7 figures. So basically, $1, $2, or $3 million. I am okay. 2 things here. Perfectly fine with, because it meant this guy, he made it for his partner. Apparently, this was like not even meant to be public, and it's grown to be this giant thing. I am
Mhm.
more than happy for this guy to sell out.
Yep.
Don't care who it's to. It could be literally to North Korea for all I care. Okay. If this guy wants to make a shit ton of money, that's fine. This guy got fucked bad. There is no way this game is worth $2 to $3 million. I would, again, purely guessing, but I'm very confident in that. Minimum 20 million, if not more. Now, there's been a lot of like apps that have come out that try to copy them, but they're actually getting taken down. So you can't actually
Mm.
fully copy this game. Plus, you have like the trust of a bunch of people going to your website. You have all this name brand rights and all that shit, everything combined into one. There is no way this is worth only 2 to 3 million, man. That is a joke. So New York Times swindled whatever this guy's name is. I think it's like Wordle or something, right? His name's actually almost the same as the
Josh Wardle.
Josh Wardle. Congratulations on your probably $1 million after taxes, but my God, you got fucked, my friend. Bad. What are your thoughts?
I have no idea. I don't know what stuff like this is worth. I know it's the thing that I think when I see this price is that yeah, it sounds like a little, but you also got to remember that games like this usually have like a short lifespan, right? I think this game is a fad, and in 2 months, very few people might end up still playing it relative to now, right? Because now it's in and it's hot. So looking at it from this guy's perspective, he might be like, okay, maybe I could get more than this, but every week I wait, the value of my game will drop. If he's like thinking about it that way, right? This game, would you agree? It kind of feels finite. Like it doesn't seem like a game that millions of people will be playing a year from now. Do you think so?
I think so. I mean,
You
maybe
think so? You think
maybe
people will just keep
I
playing
mean,
this
even if
indefinitely?
it's already peaked, does that really matter?
Mhm.
Like, it's still gonna be a lot of people continuing to play it, and even if you're right,
Yeah.
even if the lifespan isn't that large, what 2 to 3 million is nothing, man. It's nothing
I
for these
mean,
companies.
I'm just saying, like, if the companies that would consider investing in this game look at it the same way I do, there might not. I mean, clearly there wasn't a better offer, right? Unless he, for whatever reason, would not want to sell to others out of like personal beliefs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's possible, yeah.
I, I'm assuming this was the best deal he was offered, and maybe he just took it. Maybe he looked for better options and didn't find them. But um, I I'm not gonna pretend I know a lot about acquisition of games and whatnot, but I would be hesitant as a game studio to pay a lot for a game like this that could just, be a fad and disappear quickly. Because I guess our reference with other stuff that gets bought for a lot of money is that a lot of the time it just fades into obscurity, right? And then it was a bad investment. And then there's some of the games that obviously sustain the test of time, like Candy Crush, which was worth a fuckload of money.
Mm.
I don't know if this is going to be like Candy Crush. Maybe it is. Maybe this was the best deal the New York Times will ever make. But I feel like it's a very high risk thing to buy this kind of like niche mobile game.
I appreciate your perspective, and I was actually not expecting that, so it's nice to hear. I do disagree wholeheartedly, but
So, I mean, I'm loving this game. I'm enjoying it. I play it once a day, right? I guess maybe that's also part of it. I don't know.
well,
If the design of the game is built around having a daily puzzle and that's all there is,
but that's
maybe
perfect.
with New York Times acquiring it, they might
Yeah,
change
that's
it.
perfect for the New York Times though, because you're not reading the newspaper
That's
more than
true.
once a day, typically, or
That's
whatever
true.
the hell you're reading there. Now, the one concern, of course, is that it'll be pay to use because everything in the New York Times is subscription based. So their wording was very vague. It basically sounds like it'll be free for now, and then we'll see. So it means there's going to be a subscription, which means it's going to kill the game.
Totally.
So that's kind of sad. But yeah, it is what it is. So
Yep. Well, enjoy it while we have it.
indeed. All right, we can do a couple quick questions from our beautiful patrons. So from the Patreon mailbag, we have Imp Nibbler 69 who asks, Hey
Nice.
guys, I found your podcast last week and binged every episode at work. You guys are very entertaining and cool. Thank you. My question is, what do you think of cheese heroes? Do you think it's good for the game that if you forget about them in draft, you auto lose? Or do you think, like me, that the Tinkers and Broods of the world should just not be that strong in situations?
This is something I've thought about in the past when it comes to like hero
The
design.
past?
Should I say past, Shannon? Did I say past?
Yeah, you just sounded
Oh,
British all of a sudden.
yeah, my bad. Let's pretend that never happened in the past. So
Okay.
I don't know why I said past. I always say past. You're right. That was weird. That's what it's like being a second language speaker, Shannon, or foreign language.
I wouldn't know.
um, I've thought about this in the past, whether this kind of design is good or not. It's a really interesting question, by the way. So thank you for that, because I think it is inherently good for game design like this, like Dota has, that there are heroes that are situationally very powerful and in other situations not very interesting or weak, so that they have their like moments of brilliance and that they can, make the draft more exciting because you have these like gotcha picks or surprises where heroes can be exceptionally excelling at one aspect, which makes them very, quote unquote broken in those moments. Last pick brood being the number one example where shit, we don't have a brood counter, what are we gonna do kind of thing. Um, I will say though, from my perspective, it's too much sometimes in Dota. I think some last picks are too quote unquote auto win. But I think the concept of there being a hero that can be last picked and be exceptional is good. But it's really hard to tweak it, right? Like, how do you make Broodmother and Meepo insane last picks while still, not always being good and then not automatically winning when you pick them last? Does that make sense? I feel like this balance is just extremely difficult to strike when players are as good at the game as they are now. But the idea of having heroes like this, I think, is good. Because if you don't have it, the gameplay and the drafting is more linear, more predictable. There's less flavor. Even some of the heroes that you would consider broken or cheese can sometimes be first phased in the right patch because they're good and the way they work in the structure of the draft can be really powerful. And I personally think it's good as long as it's in the right amount. So
Yeah,
I don't know if you'd agree
the
with
way
that.
that I look at game design with like for Dota as an example, when you're balancing heroes, I actually do not think that you want. Actually, I know this is the case for Ice Frog because obviously with the cheese heroes just existing, they
Mm-hmm.
do not want all heroes to be same pick, same band, same like that's not the goal. Is to make everybody the same percentages across the board. I think it is important, like you said, to have these, I guess you can call them cheese heroes, where they're usually even something usually not being good, I'm okay with.
Mm-hmm.
But getting it right, just like you said, is the hardest part because I think it's fine to be good situationally, only situationally. But the problem is when it's way too good situationally, right? Where it's just like
I think
uncounterable, maybe.
Right. I think part of the reason at TI that almost every hero gets picked or banned is that ideology. It's because when there's so much complexity and so much depth in the pool, and the drafters are creative and prepare strategies for the World Championship, they will find a way to try to bring in heroes that are not popular and are like have like niche uses and very specific situations that they're powerful in, and then they will identify it and win a game off it because every game is so valuable. Um, by comparison, when it comes to balance and hero design, I think an obvious comparison would be League of Legends, where at their World Championship, the hero pool that gets picked and banned is significantly smaller percentage based compared to Dota. And I think that ties in directly with their hero design and their philosophy, which is more along the lines of what you said Dota has been trying to avoid, which is, all the heroes are supposed to be, solid, playable in every situation, work this and that way. And what can end up happening if you do that is that you end up with this linear situation where, well, if your heroes aren't inherently exceptionally unique at what they do, there will just be 10 heroes that do a job better than the next 50, right? If they
Mm.
all can perform quote unquote similar functions in the game, then the winners will be on numbers. And that's why what usually happens is that there's this cycle where at one world championship in league, there will be like 20 or 30 heroes that are just let's say there's an archetype of hero that there's like 15 of in league. There will be 2 or 3 that are just better. They're just the best because their numbers are best, because the meta favors them the best. And that doesn't mean Dota isn't guilty of that at times. Like we will have certain heroes that are just bonkers at TI and have insane pick ban rates. But then beyond those few, that's when the creativity and that wide pool starts playing a bigger role.
Mhm.
And then toward the end of the tournament, TI, what usually happens is the pool gets narrowed down because we identify something about the meta throughout the tournament. But for the most part, it's pretty wide. And that's really interesting to see those design philosophies be different. For pub games, I can't tell you whether League's philosophy is like successful in terms of how much the heroes get played, but I guess there's something nice to be said about feeling like, oh, I like this character, and then you can kind of always play it, but it's not always great. It's like okay most of the time. Whereas Dota will have its phases where your favorite hero is incredible, and then it will have phases where it seems almost irrelevant, and there will be patches where your hero is great 1 out of 10 games, and where it's bad the other 9, blah, blah, blah. It's a different kind of depth.
You know,
and those design philosophies are really different.
I think that you should start more sentences with a British accent, because that was very eloquently said, Cinderin. I think that deep down inside, you knew what you were going to say was really fucking good. You're like, I need to sound smarter.
Past.
So you did it in a British accent. I get it. I get it.
So you're saying British people are smarter than Americans?
No, they sound smarter.
I was about to say that's probably true, but
no, not with the Brexit shit. Come on, it's just as bad. It's just as bad,
man.
But yeah, well said, Senator. Couldn't have said it better myself. All right, and final question comes from Games for Falling Asleep. Do you think that adding controller support for Dota means that Valve is planning to make the game available for console, or is it just for the sake of the Steam Deck? I think there's an argument to be made that Dota 2 being ported to PS5 and Xbox as examples could expand market share in the US and other countries where consoles are the prevalent gaming device. So I'll take this first. I think it's more just to make sure that it's compatible with Steam Deck. I don't think anybody other than just trying it out will actually play Dota on this unless they want to, because I would consider it literally griefing the game playing Dota on something like this. Which means I don't think the game is really playable on console. Now, if you come out with a different version of Dota, because I know League did that, right? Or they are doing that. I can't remember. They come out with like a more basic version of the game that fits.
What's that called again?
I forget the name of it. Doesn't really matter. But if they wanted to do something like that, then it's possible. But in its current form, it's technically compatible, but I would say griefing. But one thing I do find, I just want to finish with this, and I actually emailed Valve this week. And I hope
to which they promptly responded, of course.
Actually, the people that I email actually do respond.
Oh,
relatively often.
Can I have that email?
No, I'm hoarding it to myself.
Oh, okay.
So as you know, I'm working on a new mod called Codename Project Horse, and I actually emailed them asking if they'd be willing to send us a couple, because it's just like sending a dev kit or something like that to, people developing games to make sure that it's compatible. I think playing an auto battler, even if it's in Dota, should definitely be possible with the Steam Deck. And so I'm hoping that they'll end up sending so we can make sure it's compatible and get the controller support and all that stuff set up. So from that aspect, I can see the Steam Deck definitely working, but playing Dota, no, not at all.
How inaccurate are movement controls on an Xbox and PS5 for Dota? How do you cast spells?
I mean, that's the issue. You don't have enough buttons to do everything, right?
Can you have some sort of aim assist? I'm just theory crafting here, how you would make this game console compatible. If you had aim assist on spells, but then it sucks when you don't want to target the hero. Because a lot of spells you want to miss them on purpose so they walk into it. Like Lina Stun. Imagine casting Lina Stun with aim assist. It would be horrible. So I don't know. I guess we also have the perspective of, being seasoned veterans that have played this game for a very long time. If you're just looking for some casual fun, you're a chill player, you just want to play some unranked. I mean, you could play in theory on anything, right? As long as the game can run. Because if it's just about having fun and casting some spells, sure. I will say though, the question overall was if we think they're doing this to expand to PS5 and Xbox. My answer to that is going to be no. I don't think so. I don't think Valve thinks there's enough of a market segment to make that worth the effort, but to, promote their own handheld console, there might be some value in at least making people think about it, making people that have it cross-play or whatever.
I mean, what do you think of the idea of, we can kind of segue this slightly into doing what League did, which is making a more basic version of Dota that doesn't have as many buttons, doesn't have as many mechanics. It's literally a separate client. Like, it's not like you're playing with other people that are playing on the PC, but it's just for console and mobile. Because that's definitely possible, and they should have data that is like a major thing. I mean, we just talked about that in one of the segments earlier today, how big mobile gaming is. I feel like that's
Yeah,
possible if they have the motivation
it
to do
is.
it. So why not?
That's the thing, right? Do people working at Valve want to make mobile games? It hasn't seemed to be the case so far, right? The only one they made was Underlords, and that was an obvious port because it was just very, mobile friendly as it worked. That one wasn't exactly a success. So I don't know. Like, Valve is a question mark to me when it comes to games right now. Nobody really knows what they're working on. Half-Life Alyx was a success for what it was and for the console that they made for it. But aside from that, like, what's the last title Valve has made that was successful?
Dota
Underlords
2?
didn't really work out. Artifact didn't work out. Is it Dota 2?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
11 years ago.
if you're not including Half-Life Alyx, right?
Right.
Which is niche or niche, depending on where you live.
No successful PC title and no successful mobile title in 11 years is what we're saying. So, like, I just don't know. I don't know what their developers want to do if they're just like, if they're unlucky or if the games they make are just not hits or if they read the market wrong, if they primarily aren't working on games at all, like maybe they just wanted to develop VR as a technology. They want to work on Steam because that's 90 whatever % of their annual revenue, probably. Like, Steam is an absolute moneymaker. I don't know. Would it be interesting if Valve made a mobile game? Fuck yeah. If they made a good one, that would be really cool.
Hell
and
yeah.
if they did, it should be Dota inspired. But that's what Underlords was, and it didn't work. Right?
I'm going to
So
go
maybe
out
they're
on a
just gonna be
limb
like,
and say that they will never, ever
make a mobile game.
No, I think they will make a mobile game because they'd be dumb not to. I think they will
Mm-hmm.
never, ever make another title based on the Dota 2 IP. That isn't
Right. 'Cause
literally
now
like,
they've tried twice.
if it's Dota 3, that doesn't count. I'm saying something that's a different genre. They will never, ever do it again. That's strike 2 already. And apparently at Valve, they don't count to 3, so they're just done, right? Some people were saying Portal 2 came out after Dota 2. I looked it up. It came out April 18th of 2011. So that's before TI1. So
yeah, came out
Dota
before
2
Dota.
actually
But it was the
is-
same year. That was a sick year for Valve. Those
That's
are two awesome games to make in the same year.
They're still
Or
celebrating. Wait,
Yeah.
what about CSGO? CSGO came after Dota 2, right? I'm pretty sure,
wait, you're
actually.
right.
Yeah. Let's see. Looking it up as we speak. 2012.
You might be right.
August of 2012.
Okay, so
Yeah.
CSGO is the last one. 1 year later. You're right. So
Now,
it's been 10 years.
Having said
roughly.
that, it doesn't feel the same because they had the other Counter-Strikes already, whereas Dota
That's true.
was from a
Dota they
completely
acquired.
different developer, this whole all that shenanigans going on. But
That's true.
it has been quite a while. They are due.
Arguably, CSGO was kind of more of a, I don't know. I feel like reskin is selling it short, but you know what I mean, right? It's the same game in a different packaging with some quality of life improvements, basically.
And 66
and
tick
according to
servers.
you, some quality of life
Deaths?
regression as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, quality of death improvements.
Quality of life deaths.
Yeah, that should be what it's called. Okay.
I believe Games for Falling Asleep, who asked this question, is also one of our In Bruges patrons. The one who always says, "I believe Dota would be more successful with better marketing," right? Is Games for Falling Asleep. So, maybe a little bit of wishful thinking in this question. Just really wants the game to grow, and I appreciate that. But I don't think that is, like, first of all, if Valve were to port this to consoles, they wouldn't tell anyone. They would just release it and not advertise it at all. So you still wouldn't get your marketing. You'd just be like, oh,
All right.
what's this new game I have on my Xbox? Oh, really? Oh, I've heard of Dota 2.
Yeah.
Actually, I haven't heard of Dota 2 because no one talks about it.
So this is the last thing I'll say. I actually do think that making a Dota 2 version for consoles, specifically, like I said, like League did, I think it's called like Summoner's Rift or something, right? Does that sound right?
That's the main map of the
Okay,
game.
never mind. Anyway,
is it Wild Rift?
Maybe, yeah, Wild Rift. That sounds right. So anyway, a dumbed down version of Dota for consoles or mobile. I legitimately think it would find good success, but I am also on your boat with there's probably nobody at Valve that will want to do it, because if you look at their structure that we've talked about so many times, people work on whatever they want, right?
Mhm.
And I think it's a common misconception that there's no bosses. There are bosses, but you still work on whatever you want. And if you want to start a new game, you can. Who's going to want to work on a mobile Dota when you've been
I don't
working
know.
on that for so long for PC? Like, it's not like everything at Valve. It feels like they're trying to do the next big thing. They're trying to innovate in some way. It's not,
Mhm.
occasionally they'll try something that's like, Underlords where they're copying somebody, which, a lot of games start that way, like Counter-Strike, Team Fortress, etc. But it doesn't feel exciting. And I can understand that.
Mhm.
Like, if I could choose whatever I want, I wouldn't want to work on Dota mobile game. I'd want to work on whatever's new and exciting. You know what I
Project
mean?
Horse.
Project Horse coming soon to an arcade near you.
I mean, in a way, you can't really blame Valve for having that approach, right? When you look at what made their company successful, it was Steam was innovative at its time to have this hub, and that is easily their most successful thing ever. Then, they had Half-Life, which eventually spawned Counter-Strike, etc. And then I think in a way their biggest success that was the least creative was actually Dota 2, right? Because that was acquiring something that was already made by someone else, but still they identified that's kind of what Counter-Strike was too, right? But it used Half-Life as the base.
Mm-hmm.
But they had a good eye for picking up games that were going to be big successes under their banner in Counter-Strike and Dota 2. So that was really admirable. I don't know what other stuff Valve has quote unquote acquired that flopped. Most of the games that we refer to as in-house development that didn't work out.
Ricochet.
Ricochet was kind of just it's also a small game. Like
Yeah,
that was a little side thing. That was a very small thing. But yeah, Underlords that they developed, Artifact that they developed, obviously were a lot of hours and didn't really work out too well. But yeah, from the company's history, being innovative and creative has been clearly the most profitable versus quote unquote grinding more value out of games that they had. So I think I can understand why they take that approach. I will say about the mobile game thing that you just said that it would be a success. I think what would be a huge part, linking back to what we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, is if you were to make a Dota mobile game, it would be very successful in Southeast Asia. And considering how huge Dota is in Malaysia, in the Philippines, in India, that could honestly, a mobile game for Dota would definitely be very popular there. But my question would just be, what about outside, right? Western Europe, the Americas, who would play a mobile Dota game there, relatively speaking? I think it would be very SEA heavy. So I don't know. I'm assuming they've considered it, right? It's not exactly rocket science. Mobile gaming's big. You have a strong IP. You have a game that you could simplify and play on mobile.
Yeah.
Maybe they think it's profitable, but nobody wants to do it. Maybe they don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, probably one of those two. Okay. That is it for Je Podcast. Thank you very much. Make sure to, again, leave your comments below for hashtag SAP with your questions so that they will continue to bestow us with amazing statistics.
We love the SAP segment.
We love making Cinderin look like an idiot, so make sure to comment.
That is the best part of the podcast.
It is. So thank you guys for watching. Until next time, Sunsfan and Cinderin signing out. Goodbye.
Bye.
We say things that don't mean anything.
Subscribe.
But thanks for listening. Yeah.